Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Watchdog, all things relevant media, our Black Media Network. We are back another Saturday, and right now you're just seeing me, and but we have some guests joining us, and my co-host should join us very soon. You probably noticed my different background. So, hello from New York City. I'm here live with you in Times Square. Hey, you got to go big or go home, and so we're going big today. We are here and we have some serious conversations to have today. And so let me get my co-host. All right, you got
Oh
your
Lord,
matches on.
you got
You
me in
out that
there.
heat. You out that heat. That sun ain't no joke.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay out of it.
Look here, you better do like me. I'm inside. I'm over here in Times Square, but I'm inside, so y'all might see the lights and all that, going off. But yeah. So we have some guests joining us. I'm hoping soon. And you in the
No,
car.
I'm actually. Did you contact them?
Oh yeah. Everybody has the
Okay.
information. So, but we'll hop right in. We'll probably do an hour today. But hello to Melinda and Betty Jones, faithful watchers of the network. But I think this week we saw a lot going on, and I think one of the things I that we all know about is the abortion bill. But as I was coming on, I looked at some lyrics from Tupac, and I think a lot of what he talks about is still true today, and he talks a lot about you know not being able to have certain rights or the government controlling things in a way that just creates more problems than solutions. And so I think what people saw this week, Julius, was abortion is outlawed, but no, it's more than that. I think it's deeper than just abortion is outlawed. I think it's a bad precedent because what we're pushed toward is government intrusion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what are some of the comments and thoughts you had or heard about, the controversial abortion bill?
Well, the
Decision,
scary
excuse me,
thing is,
decision.
it should be a plus for. I mean, we knew they were going to do it. There was no question about that, and it should be a plus for the Democrats. If the Democrats don't know how to rally behind this, then they need to just give the party up and everybody just become Republicans and just have one party. Because if they don't know how to rally behind this, then they're a sorry party. Um, they're going. Clarence Thomas even wrote that they should reverse gay marriages,
Right, right.
abort the any type of abortion type pills and all kind of stuff that Clarence Thomas wants to go after now. So I mean, they got the power on the Supreme Court. So um, if they want to change those things, then I guess they can.
And you know what, and just to kind of break it down, what the decision said was it returns to state rights. But at the end of the day, we know states like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina. You know what that's going to be about. My fear is this. To what, as you mentioned, to what extent does it stop? I'm quite sure voting rights is pretty much dead. Um, I'm pretty sure that certain rights, the voting, not just the Voting Right Act, but some of the Title IX pieces, the things that protect us, might be in jeopardy. And folks, I don't think they realize the importance of those things.
Well, Robert, these people are doing whatever they want to do, and they don't care. They're saying, "I dare you to do anything about it. I dare you to do anything about it." It's almost like they're trying to cause the divide. They know that this is a big issue and they want the divide. Trump is the divide. They saw where Trump almost brought us to the brink of a civil war, So they're trying to create something that causes that because only the rich ones will hold on to their money. Everybody else loses.
Yeah. But that's one thing my dad has always said is that, sadly enough, the Republicans care more about money than they care about people. So you're right about that. It's the party of money. But who intrigues me in all of this is Clarence Thomas. And for those of you all who don't know, I don't know if Clarence might have drank the wrong wine in law school, or used the wrong dope in his office. But I don't know what hit him over the head. But Clarence has lost his mind. A lot of people don't realize this, but he's right there from Savannah, the Pinpoint area, and grew up there. His grandparents and family grew up right there in that area. And so I don't know, maybe along the way, somehow, some way, some of his brain cells got left on the side of the road.
But Robert, I've never met anybody in Savannah that told me they were kin to this guy.
I wouldn't either. No. I wouldn't claim him.
If anybody kin to Clarence Thomas and you're watching this feed, let us know that you kin to him. But if you're too embarrassed to, then don't. But this dude is the worst Negro in the history of the world. Mm-hmm. He's worse than the Africans that sold us into slavery to the Europeans back when they came over to Africa and got us.
Yeah.
He's worse than them. This guy is the most cowardice. He's the most cowardice punk in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is.
Well, and the thing that's interesting, how on one hand can you advocate for the things he's advocating for, but on the other hand, your wife is sitting here suggesting that we break the law and commit treason. That's just, if you talking about stupidity.
He don't see nothing wrong with what she did.
Oh no.
I think, like I told you, that movie Get Out is exemplary of Clarence Thomas. Get Out is Clarence Thomas.
He didn't move fast enough.
No. And he ain't trying to get out.
Listen, when they're paying you that good and you can do what you pretty much want to do, hey, I wouldn't get out either.
He's the recruiter. Shouldn't have never been in the position. But Robert, that's what we get for voting, not voting, but that's what we get for supporting people just because they're black. We get people that don't subscribe to our ideology, don't subscribe to our way of life, anything. So just because they're black don't mean that they care about you. So, and you have to put people in those positions that care about you.
Look at what Melinda says. I really love his mother, but it is sad how he treats and denies his people. Well, Melinda, share more. I mean, don't go into detail. I mean, you don't want to, end up in, situation. But at the end of the day, people talk a lot about what the scripture says. I do know what the scripture says, honor thy mother and father. But the one thing I can't wrap my brain around, especially in our community, is how we disregard our elders. You can get mad at them. I get mad at mine all the time. But you better darn well make sure that they're taken care of before yourself, in my opinion, because that comes back to bite you in the behind. But I can't remember the last time the brother came down to Savannah, but it's sad to know that we got folks in place who either choose to ignore the issues that really plague our communities or just pretend as if they don't exist. And then I think in his case it's both. He doesn't realize, because of his level of privilege and access, some of the things that he talks about impact his community. What's even worse is, I think what's even worse, this is my thought, is he replaced Thurgood Marshall. And going back to the voting thing, this is why it's important to vote, folks. So we put Trump in instead of going to put Hillary in. The only reason Roe versus Wade and laws like that are going to significantly shift is because Trump put in 3 justices. And our lazy behind, and those of you who all didn't vote, it's your fault. Because had we put Hillary in place, none of this would be happening. So folks who are out here getting up, I bet you 85% of the folks around here marching and screaming didn't vote.
I don't know about 85%, but I would say about 25% of them didn't vote. I would say about another 10% of them probably isn't registered to vote. And some people just like to protest and don't like to really be engaged and involved. They just like to protest. But it all can be corrected. It might take a while, but it all can be corrected. Just gonna take a little while.
Yeah, well, that while could be another, 50 years. You know what I mean? um, which is real interesting. The other part of it is going back to what you said. If the Democrats can't leverage this, I agree with you that there's a major problem. Um, you also have to put that against, though. People are very pissed off with Joe Biden. They're pissed off with the gas prices, despite the fact that it has nothing to do with him. And so Joe doesn't really set the Democrats up to do well. What are your thoughts, and how do they change that narrative in the face of a low approval rating, high gas prices, disgruntled Americans? Um, but I think they have a win if they've leveraged this abortion law, in a way that makes sense. So you position it as if, well, not as if, you position it for what it is. They're taking your rights. But what are your thoughts? How do they leverage that, given all the things that Biden has done, quote unquote?
Well, one thing about the Democrats, they're not good on messaging. The Republicans are. For some reason, the media is controlled by mainstream media is controlled by the Republicans anyway. So, I mean, the movie industry is probably controlled by the Democrats, but mainstream media is controlled by the Republicans. That's a lot of music you got going on. Where you at?
Yeah, let me hit mute.
And so that's a lot of power that they have with the media. So when they got that kind of power with the media, they control the narrative. So the Democrats have to use everything that they get, everything, and throw back at them. They can't refuse it, but the Democrats just don't know how to message good. They don't want to spend a lot of money like Republicans. They're chinchy. They rather keep the money in their war chests instead of spending it with everybody so all the message can get out. We see that here in Georgia. You see that here in Georgia. They don't use the people that they should use to get the message out. And it's going to cost them. If they don't use us the way that they're supposed to, it's going to cost them.
No, I totally agree. I think a good example of that, and hate him or love him, and I don't like him myself, is Vernon Jones. Vernon Jones is your basic, average, foot boots to ground, average human being. What I mean by average is he's not one of these flashy state savings types. But I agree with you. The Democrats would rather rely on the celebrity of Stacey, and not leverage the everyday person like you or I, who reach the voters. And voters listen to people that they resonate with. You resonate with Stacey to a certain extent, but her celebrity has taken the reality of what she's trying to do out of everything. And so you're right. I think there are a lot of smaller community campaigns, especially in our rural areas, that could be leveraged. But again, Democrats want that big, flashy look, and it's costing them across the country.
Yeah. And if they don't do what's right and invest money in these senatorial seats, it's going to be hell to pay for them. And the Republicans are just taking a chance. They're shooting in the dark, hoping they hit something because they feel like they got us wounded. Joe is not strong. Joe just don't project strength to me. Joe Biden, he just don't project strength. You know, I love old Joe. Voted for Joe. I'll vote for him again if he's in it. But he just don't project strength. You got to be able to have the courage and the balls to do what Donald Trump did. The Republicans are just doing things and saying they're not going to do anything. They don't care about the rules or the laws. They don't care. They do what they want to do and say, we're prosecutors. Now, the only thing I can say is this right here. I told people, everybody think Donald Trump is untouchable. But these people are putting a case together so good on Donald Trump that if he wiggle out of this here, he the baddest thing since ice cream. Donald Trump can't get out of this here. Ain't no way in the world he could get out of this.
Dude, it's interesting you bring it up. I watched CNN. I didn't watch the last hearing, but I watched CNN afterwards. And to see what his closest, most private, intimate allies, who are Republicans, who voted for him and supported him, what the testimony they provided it was off the chains, like whoa. And so you're right. If he gets off of this one, it'll be quite interesting because I mean, to tell somebody and for them to repeat it that, hey, you know what, just just do this and we'll take care of the rest. Like basically, you tell somebody just go over there and take somebody out and we'll handle the rest. That's deep. The thing I can't applaud them on, and I will applaud the Republican senator, the representatives and senators who told them no. You know, at the end of the day, you gotta have a level of ethics in somewhere in your body. I mean, some things I think they went too far with, but at some point you got to tell yourself, all right, enough. Too much is too much. You know what I mean? There's got to
Robert,
be a line. What's up?
Robert, the Republicans, once they get in, they have no ethics. They have no ethical backbone in their bodies. They have no compassion. It's one thing. And you already come there with the mindset that you don't care about regular people anyway. You don't care about the sick. You don't care about the homeless. You don't care about the elderly. You don't care about anything except the military because you need the military. That's why people vote for the military so much. Here's the good alderwoman. She can probably
I
take it
want
out
to
because
first.
I see my voice getting hoarse.
Yeah, I just want to first acknowledge her for another great outfit. You always shame us. We're gonna go.
What did you say, Mr.
I say you always shame us with your wonderful outfits, but that's good. That's good. But we're glad
You
to have you. We
I'm
would
all the time. I have to be all places. So
get it. At least
usually
somebody's
one
doing it.
is all.
Now you're kind of breaking up. I don't know if it's your signal or what's going on, but we were just talking about, and I'll put it up here from Brother Frazier, that them GOP folks believe in by any means necessary. So that's kind of the conversation we were on. And sadly enough, I agree with that statement. I mean, it's sad that anybody would disregard certain traditions and laws, and even in the Supreme Court, certain precedent. Precedent is very important in the legal world, but to see them disregard precedent and laws, but basically for personal reasons, is sad. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Earlier, I heard every other word you were saying, but I assume you are speaking of the decision from the Supreme Court yesterday.
Well, that and that partially, and the fact that we see a lot of these GOP folks pretty much turn and do anything regardless of what's right or wrong in the law. So kind of both ends.
Right. Again, just jumping in here, I want to say that, yesterday definitely was a threat to justice uh, for women. It was a threat to justice to Americans. Um, as we look at the implications of the decision, we recognize that this decision has been 50 years in the making. They just were able to make good on it yesterday, unfortunately. There is a spirit of repression sweeping across our nation. And so, my concern is that if a Supreme Court can make a decision to change the way women care for their bodies and their health, who's to say this very Supreme Court won't make a decision that then further dictates how we exercise our freedoms as African Americans, as women, uh, rights where gay and lesbian relationships are concerned. It's just unspeakable. It's been very difficult for me to wrap my head and my mind around the decision because it just doesn't seem real. Uh, the Supreme Court essentially destroyed a woman's self-determination, uh, our actualization, our human dignity, and it just abandoned everything we know as free Americans in this society today. We struggle so much already, trying to garner space in places where we ought to be and where the law says we can be. And then to have this ultimate court make this decision is just, it's beyond my comprehension. I'm never lost for words. So if I'm lost for words on this one, this is heavy.
Yeah, it's
Very.
tough. It's tough. And while you're here, while Julius is still with us, and we're only going an hour today, but I also want, part of this, well, most of the show is about the inclusion, exclusion, and oversight of government at national, federal, state, and local levels. And yesterday I saw yourself, Alderwoman Alicia Miller Blakely, and Alderwoman Bernard Lanier, Brian Lanier, at a site. And I texted you, and I didn't know what was going on, but I figured it probably wasn't something so exciting. And then when I started looking at citizens in Savannah start to post about a young man who, from what I could see, didn't really present a threat in general. But I don't know the situation. But to what extent have we militarized our police? To what extent has our government forgotten about the humanity of citizens? To what extent are we not really fulfilling the purposes of citizenry? And just want to kind of get your thoughts around that and understand kind of what's going on at a local, but not only that, but kind of as we get broader.
Uh, I would say what we are dealing with in our community where law enforcement and officers are concerned is desperation, right? We have been saying for a long time that we are losing more police officers than we are recruiting. And so there has been a rush to recruit more police officers to get them trained and skilled up and ready for our streets and ready for our communities via the appeal of many of our council members. But in that rush to do so, we are focusing less on why we are losing police officers so that we stop the bleed, and rushing to recruit officers who, rather they have military background and experience or not, whether they're just regular everyday citizens, maybe just coming out of college, uh, changing career paths. If a person signs up to do this work, I believe that most of them sign up from a spirit of altruism. They seek to do good, they want to serve. This is honorable work. And I want to say that I am fully, fully supportive of police officers. In as much as our communities and leaders expect for police officers to protect and serve the citizens of Savannah, we have an expectation as leaders to protect and serve those police officers. RG, for a long time, I have been saying, I no more want a citizen to lose their life to officer involved shootings than I want an officer to lose his life, her freedom, or their career to a situation where they are engaged in an officer involved shooting. No one wins in these situations. And so we can speculate as to whether or not there needs to be sensitivity training, cultural diversity training. Rather, we are putting these individuals on the street prematurely. Right now, I understand that we have fairly new police officers on the force, less than a year, training new police officers. That's just how much of a deficit we are facing with them. And then we add the other elements that are consistent with what we have known from day one. We are recipients of multiple calls and outcries for help and support within the police department by higher ups all the way down to new recruits. where these individuals are calling foul where leadership is concerned. Um, and we haven't, as a council, been encouraged from our leader, our city manager. Uh, when we interviewed Mr. Melder, number one for me, to him, was to heal the staff. That was my number one goal for the city manager: heal city staff, focus primarily on the police department first, because they are first responders. They are very important to uh, the health and safety of our community. In addition, the city staff are the first servants of the people. And so, if there is no harmony among staffers, if they are not happy at work, they are not going to put out products that our citizens are going to be happy with. They are not going to deliver services to the citizens that they pay for. Our citizens, our taxpayers, they pay for these services, and we pay the individuals to deliver those services. But if we have people working in conditions that are hostile, if we have people working in conditions where they are in, they are they cannot do their jobs, we're doing a disservice to this entire community. And when you factor those elements into what it takes to be a police officer, that's one of the toughest jobs. And I won't even say second to firefighters and our sanitation workers, but uh, these ladies and gentlemen put their lives on the line for this community every day that they come to work. The least we can do is to make sure that they are being led by an individual who is compassionate, who is concerned, and who is demonstrating building cohesiveness in the department as opposed to dividing it. I'm so disappointed, Mr. Bryant. You know, the last couple of major occurrences that we have had to date, we've had 8 officer involved shootings. One of those involved GBI, I believe. Uh, but here in Savannah, that's not something we're known for, right? We've had our share over the decades, but generally, on average, Savannah law.
Yeah. Yeah, when you compare it against Atlanta and other major cities, it's getting interesting.
Yes, we generally would log one officer involved shooting, or none in some years. And so that says something. We have to look at those kind of numbers and that type of data, allow it to speak to us and respond. I mean, clearly, we are recruiting officers so fast and rushing to put them on the street so fast, where they are not, they are incapable of establishing sincere relationships with the people they police in these communities, thereby making them and the citizens vulnerable to these situations. Again, I can't speculate as to what happened in the horrific occurrence from yesterday, but I will say that my heart goes out to the family of this young man who lost his life yesterday. We want to continuously make known that we are fully supportive of our police officers. We recognize when this happens to one of our finest, it happens to the entire police department, because now they are facing more judgment, more scrutiny, and more stigma. We are going to trust the process, Mr. Bryant. We know that a lot of the systems have operated in ways in which it's hard to trust them, but we are inclined to do so in this regard. And we will keep our eye on it very closely. And we have pledged as a leader to make sure that we are working with in our ability, our limited ability, to let the police chief know, let the mayor, the city manager, and the city attorney know that right now we are ill responsive in these situations where law enforcement is concerned in our community. And it's a travesty. It's not very responsible. Our police chief has been out of town and out of the country yesterday. He and the mayor were in Germany when this occurred. Every major occurrence that I became aware of, the police chief was out of town. When, rest his soul, Mr. William Harvey lost his life in the barracks. of Savannah Metro, the chief was out of town. The last officer involved shooting before this one, the chief was out of town. It's just and this situation that occurred yesterday. I'm like, the chief is out of the country, but he's given us. We've received notice that he's a short timer essentially, and that he's being courted for another position. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we relegating the health, safety, harmony, and productivity in our police department? Why are we relegating that to somebody's career? Right?
Yeah.
It's frustrating. I have much more to give you today. I'm just.
Well, no, and what is interesting to me when I look at, so there's a bigger picture here too, and that you alluded to. One day you have the Supreme Court saying it's not a, you know, the whole issue with the gun rights, and states basically don't have the right to do this. But it's interesting how the Supreme Court has said states can control your uterus, they can't control gun laws. And by the way, it doesn't matter if your leadership shows up or not. Just it's kind of this do as I say, not as I do kind of a mentality, somewhat, which is very dangerous to me. I mean, and going back, this is leadership, and most people would agree with this. At the end of the day, you gotta separate the individual from the leader. And in this case, I'm going to pick on the police chief because of this particular incident. One thing I do know about leadership is this: you've had too many occurrences at a chief level to where the chief has not come out with a statement, B, a plan, and C, hey, this is what we're going to do different. And honestly, what it does, it puts, in this particular case, the city manager in a hot seat to say, well, what are you going to do? You can't just continue to let things go as is. And like you said, the numbers are not adding up. So you go from years of 0 incidents to a year where you have 5 serious incidents, and still people are supposed to feel the morale is good. The citizens are supposed to trust your leadership. And so at some point, and this is for, national level, at the Supreme Court, Senate level, congressional level, whatever, leaders are not understanding, I think, sometimes their role in holding that position or holding that title is great, but the soft skills that come with leadership are missing. And that to me is interesting. I mean, Julius, you're probably back on. What are your thoughts? And then we'll go to Alderwoman, Mayoral Candidate. Excuse me.
I wasn't listening. I was out taking care of something for my class. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Well, we'll go with the mayoral candidate first.
That were me, RG, taking care of something for my class, or doing anything other than this show.
Right. I know.
I would get that.
Yeah. Right. And don't be in your car driving while you're doing the show.
I'm not.
I'm going to constantly remind you that this is the decade for the woman. And so
you remind me all the time.
Our voice matters just as much as our bodies matter. And so I just wanted to remind you of that, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
But Julius, one of the things you were talking about, and I definitely want your comment on this. So, now how he's gonna pop out? You see how y'all see that, right? When we give him the hot seat, he plays the Ray today. I think that's Jamal Touré in Julius's face.
he always tells me about making ATR priority and not juggling and having so many things to do. And look at him today.
Are you Jamal Touré with Julius's face on?
I miss and touch the wrong button.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that's Touré. I think that's Touré.
Y'all know I'm never on the car phone, but my class, I'm the class president. My class picnic is today. And so I can't, I got a touch of COVID, so I can't be with them. I'm in the car. So they're out there at the park, and I'm just in the car watching them since I'm the class president.
You mean security?
I don't have those symptoms.
I was my class president too, so we got to plan something myself.
Come on out and get you a piece of fish. We had Sharon Park. We got plenty of food. We're at Sharon Park here in Garden City
Give
off
me
of Highway
5
80.
minutes. Give me 5 minutes.
Come on back. Y'all are
This
welcome to
man,
come on
look at
back.
my background. Where you think I am?
Oh yeah. I forgot you out of town.
Up here with
Keisha, you could come.
I'm up here with Governor Cuomo. But no,
Ex
Joe,
governor.
what we were talking about was leadership, and we were talking about not just local but national government, but leadership in the fact that, and I picked on the police chief. At some point, when you got 5 incidents, major incidents, you got to make a statement and reassure the public and your team that we got this, instead of always being absent. Because what it does now, it puts pressure on the city manager to say, okay, so what we gonna do? We ain't never got no strategy, but we still got stuff. Here you go. Like Linus Moss is always an excuse. So, what are your thoughts around that?
Well, the
We
problem
just have to
is, uh, oh,
go ahead, sir.
Keisha,
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead,
No,
Teray Hall.
go ahead, Mr. Hall.
Betty Jones. Told y'all, it's the Devil Bears. So it's Tompkins. But we're gonna get. I'll let you comment on that. But then Chuck had a great question, and we can shift into that. But oh Lord, listen, go ahead and make your comment so we can get you out of here. We're tired of you.
I recommend that we don't use phones no more because see, when people call you, it knocks you out and it kills your mic.
Don't answer. Yeah, don't answer.
I didn't. You don't have to answer. It still knocks you out.
Yeah, well, we want to know your answer. You
What was the question again?
oh, fix it, Lord. So at some point as a police chief, you can't continue to not speak on or give a strategy around what's next when you have 5 major incidents, 5 killings, 5 shootings, whatever that is, and there's no strategy, no statement saying that we got this. At some point, the citizens, the morale becomes kind of different and shifts, and then the city manager's got to make a decision. So, I mean, in a leadership perspective, what are your thoughts around that?
Well, if you look, every time there's a shooting of of a black man in this country now, the police chief has to address it because you don't know what the circumstances were. This police chief thinks that he can just hide behind the scenes. He isn't addressing anything. He isn't addressing the public. He don't care because he isn't from here. He doesn't care. You can tell that this guy does not have a care in the world for anything that happens here. He's a career uh, uh, bureaucrat. That's what he is. He's a career bureaucrat. He travels around the country from job to job. He doesn't care. So it's incumbent upon the city council to vote him out and to put somebody in who cares, somebody who's local, who understands the community. And it's incumbent upon the voters to put the right council in so that they can do the right thing. So it's a two-pronged thing that we just got to fix.
Okay, mayoral candidate, you're next on that.
I concur with what Julia stated. It's we have to change our approach. There's an adage that goes, if you always do what you always do, we'll always get what we always have. And so, with that said, we haven't done anything different. We continue to insulate individuals because of their popularity, because of their proximity to us, or as a result of whatever favor they've done for us, however they've allowed us to get by with our work. You, as a professional, as a leader in the community, look, this isn't about picking on a person. This isn't about interpersonal relations or the lack thereof. This is about the fact that we have low morale in our police department. We are losing more officers than we are recruiting. We've had multiple complaints of individuals who have made known their issues, and they did not do this anonymously. These people were open and very vocal about what's going on in the department. Then you have the most egregious of the elements is that crime has increased consecutively every year since we've been in office. We have had more victims of gun violence die in this community on this administration's watch than any other, black or white. So you have the fact that we are losing more police officers than we are recruiting. We are not retaining seasoned police officers. Crime is high. More people are dying. And this person gets to keep their job.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. And so you all can talk about the white man this and the white man that all you want, but this is a black man we're talking about here. And so I've never seen stand it for the life of me. I just cannot understand how. I've never seen anything like it. So we have to start being about some accountability work and not looking at these pieces simply as black and white all of the time. You know, it's not always about race. It's about incompetence. It's about cronyism and nepotism. And the only people who are suffering are our citizens.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is
And,
correct.
and as we talk more about government involvement and all of that good stuff, Chuck Fagan posted a question here that talks a little bit about that and the fact of impact fees. And his question is it likely that council will pass an impact fee ordinance by the end of the year? So if y'all could help, and I'm because I know my music is loud, I'm over here in Dam Square. Y'all know it's live. They don't sleep here. But anyway, so if y'all could talk about, hey, what are impact fees? And then I guess we can respond to Chuck's question.
Impact fees are fees associated with helping established communities uh, garner support as it relates to police services, fire services, recreational services, support for infrastructure as developers come in and create new products in their communities. This is not exclusive to houses. It also encompasses hotels and larger businesses, any construction project, if you will. And so here in Savannah, we know that we have been experiencing rapid growth and development. A lot of this rapid growth and development, in addition to forcing individuals out of vulnerable communities, communities that are established and primarily African American, uh, where primarily African American residents reside, as well as some of our working class citizens. Uh, we recognize that as these projects take off and as they are developed, oftentimes it poses a threat to the existing community, either by way of increased traffic or it causes more of a strain on pre existing services like police and fire. Take, for example, our Highlands area. That community grew at warp speed. Right now, we only have one fire department and no police departments. We field calls from residents in that area about traffic complaints and concerns all the time. If there were impact fees established, that community would have actually better access to city services. We don't have any recreational outlets there. We do not have a city facility out there where people can go and pay their water bill or get information related to their property taxes. They have to travel a little distance in the city of Savannah for those type of services, and they pay an enormous amount in property taxes, so they are deserving of those services. These impact fees will allow us to create more opportunity for those elements as those projects are established. But for me, I don't know that there is any real motivation. It took almost 2 years for this to even see the light of day, for us to entertain it. If we had entertained it when we first came into office, like many of us who ran on, had this as a part of one of our campaign planks, right now, the Highlands would be better served with services, and more communities in our surrounding area would be more served as well. So I don't, to answer Chuck's question, no, I do not think it's going to happen, because I don't think there's any real. I think this is just kicking the, what do you call it? Kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, Julius, what are your thoughts on the impact fee piece? I mean, you're in an area where, again, when we talk about up and coming areas or areas that have become, as y'all would say, Mayberry, how does it look in your from your perspective?
Well, they're about to do a study now to see how they can implement impact fees on new construction. So um, that's to be seen. The companies want to pay it. Now, you don't usually have a company wanting to pay anything, but the companies want to come there so bad that they want to pay it. So, which is great. They don't mind paying it. So, if you're going to bill, then it should be, uh, if you're going to, mess with somebody's quality of life, then is incumbent upon you to correct that to some degree. And those impact fees help to do that, with sound barriers for walls, for new parks and recreation for the communities that they impact. So impact fees are needed, and it's needed in every city, because the companies make millions and millions of dollars, and you have to be able to uh, offset the discomfort from those citizens that's going to be affected by them coming in and building.
Let's see what Chuck Fagan said. The average major fire apparatus is what? Well, you're right about that. And that's one of the things I've noticed. Um, I'll say this much. So I was watching City Council the other day, and I made the comment because we are a nation of people that will react instead of being proactive. And so I made the comment we probably need to start looking at a multi-county rail system because we are outgrowing the capacity of highways. And I think, a lot of people want to live in the now and start, we need to start thinking five, it's called forecasting, 5 to 10 years down the road. Because I had someone come and say, we're not there yet. Well, yes, we are there yet. When you have a port expansion like we're seeing, we have the film industry that's expanding. There are other areas that are expanding. We have new high schools developing. And Bryan County is expanding. We are at the brink of uh, the place where highways ain't just gonna cut it. So I mean, it just made me think about we're gonna wait till a major catastrophe happens before we start responding and doing things that make sense.
Yeah, we're always, especially in our community, we're always reactive instead of proactive. And that's one of the things that has us in this sunken pit. We want to address things after they happen instead of, like you're saying, forecasting what is about to happen. We already see what's going to happen. We know what's about to happen. So let's put measures in place so it won't affect us as badly. So, and that's just part of the problem. Until we start standing up and understanding that it's um, more than 17% of us need to go vote when it should be in the 80s, 90s, you know, then you can make some real change. There's no sense in registering to vote if you ain't going to vote.
But one of my roles is the fifth district captain for the Chatham County Democratic Party, and one want to talk about really quick before we get out of here. We talk about government oversight. We talk about all these things that the government does. But like you said, people don't want to do the part that they're responsible for, and that is getting out the vote. How do we? And I sent this message out to my fifth district folk the other night. We've got to in the fifth district. My goal for us is by November is to increase our voter participation to 15%. We in Georgia, if we understood the power of our vote in our community, we would control the narrative. But what I want us to do, especially in fifth district, and hopefully the CCDC, how do we move that participation number to 15%? And then by next year, I want to see it up to 40% because the numbers are looking terrible.
Well, seems like everybody got to take somebody with them to the polls. You got to go and get 4 and 5 people. Take my wife, for instance. She'll call 4 or 5 people that she knows will forget to vote and remind them to go vote and ask them whether they need a ride to go vote. And that's what it takes. It takes that type of engagement, that type of involvement to for everybody to say, okay, I know these people aren't ready. I'm going to go get my nephew. I'm going to go get my niece. I'm going to make sure that they vote. And that's what it's going to take. A fair fight, People's Agenda, all those APRI, all these platforms, organizations have done great with registering the voters. They've done great with educating the voters. Now they have to get the voters to vote. Participation, registration, education, and participation. You have to get the participation. There ain't no sense in none of it if they're not going to participate. We could change the course. Let me tell you something. They will. Chicken wings went up because we started eating. Cadillacs went up because we started buying them. Oxtails went up because we started eating. Everything that we do, the prices rise on. If we start voting in the 80% time, they're going to do something about that too. Because it'll be too many of us voting. If we vote in those blocks, believe me, this country will be a whole different country. And they'll be trying to demand that you vote then. They'll find ways to make it easier for everybody to vote if we started voting like that.
If this abortion thing doesn't get people motivated to vote, let me show you something. What you said is completely right. The last time Georgia was under Democrat quote unquote domination, whatever we want to use, it was Roy Barnes. You want to know why Democrats start losing it and that loss start happening? Because Roy Barnes pissed off the Republican base. Y'all want to remember how he pissed them off? They took that Confederate battle emblem off the Georgia flag. That's the last time you saw Democrats rule. So are we going to use this motivational tool of our rights being stripped away to go vote? Or are we going to just sit on the sidelines and continue to wait for the next person? That's how it happens. Now, I'll tell you right now, what you said earlier, at the start of the show, I think we should end with it. Are Democrats going to be able to leverage this? And if not, we're in some serious trouble. Because if a flag got them motivated to vote, and our basic human rights don't get us motivated to vote, something is off. Terribly off.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. So,
yeah, and I mean, we sit here and look at the January 6th, and a lot of people, I mean, it is what it is, and I think it's horrible some of the things we went now, but we can't continue to just, like you say, oh, I'll register to vote. Okay, great. You got to goddamn vote. And I really think what I think I would love to see, and we're going to close out because they both gone. We got to start getting our churches and nonprofits and neighborhood associations to get people out to vote. And that means start now. Pull people around the table. Let's start.
people keep calling me. That means they're not watching the show. If they calling me, that means they're not watching the show. You should be watching the show instead of calling me. If you watch the show, you.
Well, Melinda. You know, lost your thing. You probably have to come back in. How do you ensure those running don't flip to those they vote for? Well, I don't think you can vet a candidate. I think people. Well, you got different types of candidates. You got candidates that are loyal. Uh, and honestly, you can tell them, and you can't always determine who you putting out there. But you got those candidates who are loyal, and you got those candidates who are going to flip on you. Now, from my experience, the loyal ones have been those who have grown up in communities where they're trying to advocate for. And I go back to this here. If you are in the space of running for an office and you're not talking about people outside of yourself, or you're not showing me any indication that you're caring about the least vulnerable or those who are less fortunate, then I ain't voting for you. And if I don't hear either those things, or if I don't hear my values espoused, I ain't voting for you. For example, I'll vote for someone who cannot speak on basic human rights and the legalization of marijuana and voting rights. Those three things to me will tell me whether you are going to be a coward or whether you're going to stand true in spaces where it's uncommon. One thing about me, and people will tell you this, is another sure sign that I can support you. If you ain't scared to stand alone, I can support you. But if you always going with the wind because of what the other people say, or you ain't gonna go do your own stuff, I can't fool with you. The one thing about me, it might be the most unpopular thing, but if I firmly believe in something, I don't care if I'm standing by myself, I will defend that. Because sometimes being a leader means standing alone and standing alone in your conviction and knowing what they advocate for. So.
And being a leader also means that you lead not for yourself.
Right.
You lead for others. So when you're a leader, you have to be caring about what matters to everybody else besides yourself. You take yourself out of the equation. It's about you. It's not about you. It's about the people who put you there. It's not about you. It's about the people who put you there.
That's right. Well, we're gonna let you go back and supervise your reunion. And I am about to go out here and see what they got going on in Times Square. But we will see y'all next Saturday, same time, same place. And hopefully
Tune in at 4 o'clock. We got Speak Freely.
Yeah.
6 o'clock we got Pastor Smalls, and with Tell It Like It Is. Then America After Dark is at 10 o'clock tonight.
How y'all put America After Dark on the same day as Pastor Smalls?
Hey, it's
Pastor Smalls,
broadcast.
we're gonna work on that. They don't get to do you like that, brother.
ScoreBiggerDating.com. Score Bigger Dating virtual hangout is at 8 o'clock. Bernard is at 10 o'clock. All right.
And America's back. America has been on how long? For a couple of weeks?
He's been off for 3 weeks.
Lord have mercy. I know he's gonna cut up tonight. Y'all gonna hear a few cuss words, so don't be upset.
Well, he wants you on the show tonight.
Oh no, I might do it. I might hop on there. I might be somewhere. I don't know. So if y'all see some things, if you don't want to see Rated R, don't watch tonight. I'm in the city that never sleeps. All right. We'll see y'all next Saturday.
All right.
Like this. back to that.